Hey guys, it's Ellen. Welcome to my channel. Do you ever go to on traveling and you see those old world buildings in the south of France or Italy and you want to paint them and you're wondering, how am I going to paint all the little stones? Well, sometimes you don't have to do that. You can just create some really fun textures, and today I'm going to show you how you can just create these really fun and easy textures just using some simple techniques, watercolor, and a little liquid acrylic ink. And I go over this step by step. I give you a reference photo. This is just a fun, loose, fair, and easy free tutorial. Anybody can do this at any level. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section. Also, please don't forget to hit the bell notification button to know my tutorial out. And also subscribe. And check out my Patreon. I have ad-free videos, traceables, exclusive tutorials, and a live stream in the top tier. It's just a place people go and support my channel, which I appreciate so much. So I really hope you enjoy this tutorial today. I think it's a lot of fun and it helps you get out of your comfort zone and learning about ways to create texture without having to be really serious and, a realistic kind of point of view. It's just a more expressive point of view. So I think you're really going to enjoy it. So let's get going and paint our textural building. Alright guys, let me go over my supplies. I have the block of the Fabriano Artistico 100% cotton. It's 9x12. I have links to this in the description box. I'll be playing with my Princeton 3/4 inch Velvet Touch Series brush, or you have a flat wash craft brush. You get any kind of. I have a smaller one, just like a 3 on an angle, and then I'll be using my 8 round Princeton Velvet Touch Series, just for the smaller areas for detail. So I gave you guys a link to the photo. I'm not painting it as is. I'm using this as inspiration for this kind of technique that I'm going to do. So, you just draw out. Oh, and also we're going to be using a Sharpie pen, fine point. So, just going to use this, not even going to care about this little, whatever this thing is. This is a piece of wood here. I like the colors of the window shutter. The window is reflecting with the blue. You could keep the flowers in or don't even bother, just kind of maybe have the windows open, right? And it's dark. And then keep the wood up here if you want. We're just going to play around with texture and color and all that nonsense. So I've already kind of drawn in the window. Then I'll go ahead and go over certain areas I want with my Sharpie pen. So I'll go over this top part and I'll extend some of the lines. So it has a more sketch kind of style to it. See, I'm just going down here and I'm just kind of sketching back over my lines. Now, I could have just done this freehand. I didn't have to go back in here. Sometimes freehand is even better. So then it looks really like a sketch, like even we're out in the field and you were checking it out and you say, oh, this is kind of cool. So I'm just going to kind of go back over here, kind of like an ink and wash, but not sketching the whole thing, just some of it. See, I'm just putting some of the ink in some parts, not all of it. There's a reason for that. I want it kind of a loose feel to it. And there's the windows. Now, if you want these more exaggerated, a little bit more realistic, the windows, you can go ahead and just kind of sketch that all in, which I'm doing right now. And I have the floral here. I might just kind of keep that in. I was going to take it out, but I think I'll keep it in. I'm not going to sketch the flowers. I'm just going to keep those loose. That's why I'm just sketching the window panes. The rest of it, I'll just paint out. So there you go. Just sketch out the areas you want and leave the rest kind of blank. So, actually I'm doing some little lines that were in the shutters and then the crossbar here. We're going to be playing around with filling that window in and the shutter, and then this color around here, this texture, just all this fun stuff. So for the kind of window, you can, I have this color called verdtier blue from Holbein. It's one of my favorite colors. It looks like a provincial blue. I use it in a lot of tutorials. If you want to just stick, I'm going to grab my number 8 round. I didn't talk about this brush, did I? I think I did. I can't remember. Just going to water this down. This is a nice, pretty simple color. And we can just kind of wash it in here really quickly. I'm not worrying if the color, is perfect or not. And see, I'm using it almost right out of the tube, watering it down in some areas. I'll go back and I'll loosen it up again. just kind of loosely sticking this color in here. Like I said, it's not what it's all about. You know, you're just kind of throwing this color, and maybe a little more concentrated in here, under here, where the shadow would be. I just really want to put this in kind of loose. Now you can get real detailed if you want to on the window shutter, if you like the way the color looks. You can see under here and under here will be have more shadows because this pane and this pane are kind of sticking outward. They're raised from the other ones. So you can kind of put the color in here, and then we'll just go back in here. And so the window itself is white, and then the brown up here. But like I said, who's to say that you have to keep the window white? You can make the window blue. The window, you know, these panes. But I'm going to change that up because I feel like it. That's where you get your, you know, you change it up, make it more artistic for yourself. Just kind of filling in the blank, almost like, you know, paint by number in a way. That's why it's kind of fun to do some ink and wash. And then this paint could be white if you wanted to, or put a little gray. Or keep it blue again, right? If you want to make this a little bit darker, I take some ultramarine blue and the verdtier blue mixed together. And then you have a deeper blue if you want to put a shadow under here and here. I wouldn't get too fussy with it, you know, and a little bit darker here. And you can keep this part white. If you want to add little shadows, I've got this color called neutral tint. I'm just going to water that down. Also, I didn't mention I have paper towel, but I always have paper towels. Sometimes I forget there are new people here, so just put a little gray here in the inside. And under here is still wood. You can keep it the brown. It might be kind of nice to keep it brown. So I'll use some burnt umber. I could add a little neutral tint to it to change the brown up a little bit. But I'm not going to get too fussy with it. So it's just a straightforward brown. This brown on the window is a little bit darker, so I'm going to add a little of that neutral tint. And then more so on the bottom part. You see how I just painted that in real loose? I'm not going to get all freaked out if it doesn't look right. And then I'm going to do the pot. So it's a terracotta color. You know, you can mix some like red. I have this color called cadmium red light. I'll grab a little brown, this burnt umber, right? Almost a terracotta color there. Water that down a bit. And then we have this kind of like terracotta orangey color. I'm not going to focus too much about the shadows on this. I'm going to leave a little white halo here. And then there's the lip. Zoom in so you can see. See, and then I'm just going to throw in some simple greens. So I've got peacock blue with yellow. And you can mix it up to the greens that you like. Just keep adding either more yellow or blue to make it lighter or darker. Right? And then if you want a really dark green, I'll add a little Prussian blue, a little brown. So you play around with those colors. See, the yellow and that peacock blue. And all I'm going to do for this is these little red flowers. I'm just going to see, I'm just simply just dabbing my brush kind of this way and that way. Dab, 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 moving around. Boop, boop, boop. And then you can just do a couple little swipes like this with the tip. Then while it's still wet, grab some of the darker color. Just kind of bleed it in there. If it's too wet, you just take some of this color and tap it on a paper towel. And then you can go back and tab some of that dark color. But it's good to have a variety of colors. See, I'm kind of swigging back and forth here. Boom. Now I'll wait till that dries before I go in and stick in my red tone, because then it's just going to bleed and make a brown ugly mess. So it shows the windows. You know, it has like black area here. You can get a little realistic if you want. Or you could fill it all in black. And then it gets more blue going further down. So that part is like really dark or the shadow is coming in. Then you see more of a blue tone. So I can grab my ultramarine deep and my neutral tint. So it's, you can see it's really more blue in the photograph. You can even grab that neutral tint. See how much blue that is. It almost looks bright blue. I'm gonna actually grab some more ultramarine blue. Now everything's wet over here. You have to be careful. Kind of put it in this color. And also where the red's gonna go. So you might want to leave some space for the red flowers. Right? And this is blue, and you have to wait till this dries. If you want to put the blue straight on with the black. I'm leaving a little white space. I'll go back and fill it later. I'm just showing you, just get the idea. And then down in here, you just go fill it in a little bit darker. Boom, boom, boom. You can kind of keep it lighter. If you want to keep realistic, a lighter blue, and then when that dries, you go in and throw the darker blue for the shadows of the little florals. All right, we're trying to keep it super simple here. On this gray, on the side, get a little darker, add some dark browns, and just gonna tip, tap, tap, tap. You know, we're gonna do tone textures in a second. Grab some of this brown, gray, tip, tap. And like I said, up here is this brown, dark brown. Get a little bit darker here. I'm just really doing this loose. I don't really necessarily care that it's not perfect. And I can go back and fix some of my blues over here. You know, the verdtier blue, I didn't fill it all in. Maybe I want to do that. Not leave so many white spots. All right, so we're going to let everything dry, come back to our little red and a little shadow, and then we're going to work on this whole textural fun little thing we're going to do here. By the way, I'm going to go back in here and just add some blue. Some really, I don't care if it's really right out of the tube and bright, because this is just an expressive painting. It doesn't have to be super realistic. You don't have to get caught up in because you see a photograph that is hyper realistic. See, I'm making really thick paint. I just care about how it looks. All right, I'm gonna let this dry and come back. All right, so it's dry. I'll just grab my little cadmium red light, just kind of water it down a little bit, not too much. I'm just gonna put in these little doodads that you see in the photograph of the little pink, reddish flowers that are kind of popping out. And when that dries, I can go in between those areas and fill in the darkness. Right now it's a lot of white, so you don't want it to look Christmassy. And I can take that darker value of the terracotta we mixed up just by adding another layer of this terracotta under here again. Okay, let's not get caught up with that now. So now we're going to work on the whole outside, right? I'm going to take the bigger brush. This is the fun part. So we're going to mix up like some creams and some browns, some grays. Gonna move the green here. So paper towels close by. Remove color. Goodbye. Say goodbye. Okay, so I've got the burnt umber here. Gonna get this really loose. And want a good amount of this. A lot of water, see that? And I'm gonna get this yellow. Put some yellow in here. Add the burnt umber. I'm going to loosen up some of that neutral tint. Right? Now my brush has got many colors on it, so don't worry about it. And, you know, if you want to put a little pink in there, let's get rid of this terracotta color. Let's make a little pink color. So I've got this bright rose. Right? We can use some regular yellow in there. Make a little blush tone. More rose. So we're playing with all these colors kind of going here. Also, what I didn't mention is that I have this Liquidtex acrylic ink. Shake it up. You can also use white gouache. So it's a little technique that I've had in many of my, I'm taking off my sweatshirt, sorry guys, tutorials where we kind of just splatter it and create this kind of like, you know, negative effect where it's just kind of doesn't repels from the watercolor, doesn't really like it. So does this cool like repelling kind of thing. All right, so now we're gonna just get our brush wet, and we're just gonna paint. You might need a bigger brush too. You can start just painting downward, like the areas around the window. I'm even going in between here where I did this. That's why it's good to use this nice skinny brush in between Just getting that wet. Now, you don't have to fill the whole page. Don't freak out if you didn't fill the whole page. I'm going to try to do the best I can, getting it all in here. See me clanking? That's me going back into the water and grabbing more water. Clank, 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 clank. I know it's annoying. I'm sorry, guys. But if you hear it, you know that I'm doing that. Sometimes when you're doing voiced over videos, you can't hear that, so you don't know what was she doing. Was she grabbing the water or not grabbing the water? I'm grabbing it again. So you can always kind of see on the side, the sheen, and see if you've got the water where it needs to go. All right, now that we've got water on here, a fairly good amount, we can start bleeding in some of these colors. I'm gonna water this yellow down. I'm putting some yellow in. See that? Some brown. Really a little bit pink. Maybe more pink. Right? Don't worry. Now I'm grabbing more water. Did you hear that clank? Pushing these colors around. I got that neutral tint color. Going back and grabbing some yellow. Right? Neutral tint again. Even a blue. Grab some of that verdtier blue. Why not? Throw that in there. Everything in the kitchen sink. I'm just doing this really loose kind of wash of color. And we'll do some fun stuff to it in a minute. So I'm going to keep putting this wash of color in. I'm going to grab some more gray up in here. See, that's a neutral tint color. It's kind of washed down. I'm going to go in between. I'm going to grab some brown and yellow on my brush. And here, I like the yellow mixed in. You can even add a little bit of green, a little bit of blue. Like I said, don't get bogged down if you didn't get all the way around the whole entire piece of paper. You can start to do that now as you're going through. Just adding the yellow, the pink, maybe even a little green. So I've got that, see, a little green. Why not? Just all these colors, these fun colors. Just kind of tap some of the pink. Some brown. You can get it even a little bit darker too. I mean, mine's kind of light because I mean the building is kind of light in the photograph, but see, I'm trying to fill this page now and keep some of it wet because I'm going to be doing some of that white splattering. All right. Now, why I like to paint on the block? So the block is going to see how this paper's curling. There's a lot of water on here. It's eventually going to dry flat. And if you're using a lot of water, you're going to either have to stretch your paper or you're going to have to do this. So I'm adding more pink and red. Just having fun with this. I get some pink and red in here and down in here. Just grabbing the tip of my brush. You see that pigment on there with that pink? Right? That alone just looks really pretty. You got to see the realistic kind of window, and you've got this fun little, I'm getting a little darker here on the side where there could be a shadow. But we can really paint a realistic shadow in afterwards, after all this fun washing color in is done. Like I said, you make it a little green. Pretend like there's some plants over here. Maybe there's a tree on the side. You can kind of put that in. You can put it in afterwards too, but it's kind of fun to put it now. A little blue. Why not? I said there was no rules. Just washing in color. No one was going to really know if this like the color really looks like this, right? Now you want to squint your eyes a little bit. I'm going to grab a little bit of this neutral tint on my brush, take off the excess water, kind of push down this kind of textural push down. See? It's a little more thicker. Tap it. Push down. Trying to get a shadow that's a little damp. And we can always add that later too. I'm getting a little brown too. So you get some neutral tint and brown. Going across and then pushing down a little bit. All right. So we've got all these kind of fun colors. I might go back in. I'm just really feel like it needs more color. I'm going to add some more red. Looking at this so bright. Let's just go crazy, right? What did she just do? Why did she add that? Okay, well, I can go back in with some yellow. Get a little orange. Don't forget, the watercolor is going to dry later. Okay, I have a method to this madness. Don't worry about me. Gonna add more yellow. I really wanted to brighten it up. And you know, orange and blue are nice complements because they're complementary colors. So I can go back and add some brown and some gray and change that tone, that brightness. Going up in here. Still want to keep the rest of this damp. All right, in about 2 seconds, I'm going to grab that the white acrylic ink. Now, where you don't want it splattered, I'm just going to grab an old, ugly piece of paper, kind of put it over your window. So now I'm going to take that white acrylic ink. Can get it open. Here we go. Sound effects and all, guys. I'm going to grab a not so great brush. Grab an old brush. It's old. And then we're going to do our fun splatter. Oh, that was good. Now I'm trying to get a little thicker and get rid of some of these bubbles in my jar here. Now you could use salt and create a texture. This is just kind of fun. I like to do this. Up here, it's probably not as wet, so we'll see. Another thing you can do, I'm going to show you in a second. Just doing a bunch in certain areas. I'm having fun today. This is all about fun. Don't stress out. You can also just like strategically place the white where you want it to. I didn't talk about that also, but I have in some other videos. You can just take some of that white ink and boo, 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 strategically place it. Like if you really want it close together and creating kind of a more of a blobby area that's white, you can do that. See how I did that? But you don't have to do that. So, why do we have paper towels? For many reasons. Lift up paint and all that stuff and water. You can scrunch it up. These little twisty marks. See how I'm twisting it? That's going to create some really cool texture. Also, I don't know where my credit card is. Or you could use the back of your brush. You could do some scraping. And the paint's going to fold in where you scraped. So I'm just doing some lines down and across and like things like that. Just give it some texture. There's so many different ways to do this. See, now that it's getting more damp and dry, you can just go back in again with the paper towel. You got to scrunch it, or if you have these sea sponges, you can kind of do that too. They're kind of cool. They have a little things like that. That one was really, really dry, tight, so it wasn't really going to perform well for me. But I think the paper towel is even cooler. So you get all those little like amoeba kind of weird, funky shapes, and you can fold it into like shapes that you want to. So here, kind of tap more on this side. Now, when you're doing the paper towel, keep in mind, you've lifted up color, and the more you play with this paper, it's going to like kind of tear a little bit. It's not going to be great. So try not to do too much with this. All right? A little texture. So now I'm really just kind of going near this. See, it's already drying light. So I had all those crazy colors. See how I had all this texture going on up here? Paper towels are great. You can kind of lift up this window panes now. Boop, boop, boop. This is not as damp up here. Don't you just love that look? Even the little scrapes, right? So we're going to let this dry, and then we're just going to go in and fill in like little shadows and a couple of things we missed up here. It has a great look to it, doesn't it? Whoops. Sorry, guys. Real-time tutorials. This is what it's like to be in a class with me. I'm a little nuts sometimes, but there's a method to my madness. So if you happen to be one of the lucky ones on my retreat to France or Spain, coming up, France is in September and Spain is in next May, then you will see my craziness. There you go. All right, now we let it sit. We let this dry, and then we come back and we add some of this beautiful, some shadowing over here, and then we're done. By the way, before I forgot to mention this, remember the technique I use where I erase kind of color? We can do this too. We can kind of go in here and make this kind of like it's being erased. Then it becomes more abstract, but not necessary if you don't want to do that. And then put the color here, see? Just to mention, if you wanted to do something like that, just kind of like have this look, right? A little more abstract, not so realistic. Just kind of erasing a little bit of this. And that's what you don't have to even use the paper towel to remove it, just, but see, I'm going back over here. It just changes it again, see? Up here. So you could keep, I'm gonna go grab some more of this brown, kind of just go off. And now it has this like, soft, subtle abstractness to it. And yes, you know it, going over here. See, paper towel close by, lift, boom. Doesn't that look different? So that's dry, and I can take my number 6. This is still a little wet, I might just do that. I'm gonna have to draw that again. And then we'll go back and we'll add some shadows. Now you didn't have to do that erasing part, but I really meant to tell you about that. And so you're gonna watch the video, you can play it back. So I'm gonna grab some of the neutral tint color here, mix with some of the brown, water it down, tap it on paper towel, and then I could just do like a little shadow coming off the side here and under here. Not necessary, I don't even think it's even in the photograph. I just feel like it needs it. And then here, right? Just pulls it up again, sets it off. You don't have to have a hard shadow. You can have a softer one. You can kind of bleed it out. I'm going down here. And then you could go like this, which we tried to do with the other brush. I'm using the number 6, by the way. Go down like that. And then I'm just going to grab some more concentrated color here. Real close, let me show you. There was shadows of this flowers on the window. And so you just do the little doodad dots of the darker color. And then go in here and add that dark color. Same thing here. And I filled in some of that dark color in here. So it's kind of cool with juxtaposition of having something a little realistic. If you wanted to go back in here and just kind of fill in the window. And then something a little washed out, right? So I have that blue. Just want to fix that a little more. It just changes it. If you can't lift up the paint because you were crazy washing it, you can try and add some gouache. See, I'm like lifting it up and then tapping it on paper towel. It's like a mop. Just practical kind of fun things to do. And this would be a little bit darker in here. It wouldn't be so light right there. So this is my little crazy window. You know, now here you can take this brush and do a dry brush technique of texture. We've got this cool texture, right? I'm going to add the pink and the brown. Tap it on a paper towel. See? Hear that noise? Maybe add a little yellow to it too. Tap the paper towel. So it's like minimal water, so it's dry, and then you can kind of go like that also. And this part is my favorite. It does look like, you know, an old Italian stone building. That's how you can make it look stone without having, or terracotta, without having to do all the little stones. I mean, you can go back in with, I never even used a 3/8" brush. Take this brush, water down these colors that are brown and gray. On this gray contour. And you just make little stones, see? Now, I don't like that because they don't look right, so I might just kind of wash some of it off. but you get what I'm saying. So you can add like a little couple of bricks. You get the idea that there's old fashioned stonework here. Just a few. See how I just added just a few? And that just changes it again. Right? I might wash some of that away. I don't know if I like it necessarily. Just it's another way to play around. So let me know what you guys think. Do you want to learn more about textures and techniques? Leave a comment below. I'd love to hear it. This is how I like to play. Like I said, don't play around too much because then it starts to, the paper will start to not rip, but it'll get all pilly and not great. And that's how I would play with the texture and create some kind of like stonework for a different way, you know. And I love this part. Look at that. Oh, see, it's too bright. Look at that. You know, where we're repelled. You can do that with salt. It's my favorite. So thank you guys for stopping by my channel. Thank you guys for listening to my craziness, but I love it. And I want you guys to enjoy. It's all about fun. All right, guys, take care, and I'll speak to you soon. And please don't forget to hit the bell notification button to know my tutorials up. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe. Take care. Speak to you soon.